What are some recent scientific breakthroughs, discoveries that aren't getting enough attention? Pretty recently they started doing tests for an extremely mobile skin grafting machine. It uses a kind of hydrogel out of the patient's own skin and scans the area of the burn, then just prints out the skin. 2 more cured from HIV. Holy shit, could we see HIV become a curable disease in our lifetime? Hope so. Greater than the London patient's treatment, it is not a scalable, safe or economically viable strategy to induce HIV remission. Not that it isn't great for the patients to be HIV-free, but the cure came from getting their bone marrow replaced because they had cancer. Honestly, you might be in a worse spot if you have lymphoma than HIV. And doctors aren't going to do marrow transplants for otherwise healthy patients because it's such an extreme and costly procedure, hoping for a wider cure for HIV. My job is coming. Came out with a drug that reduces the damage chemotherapy does to the body and helps regenerate blood cells faster, allowing for stronger doses to be administered and treatment schedule to be reduced heavily. This allows doctors to treat cancer more aggressively. Due to this blowing up, I am not part of research. I just work here. For those that dug through my post history, it's not uncommon for people to get degrees but work in different fields. The drug is already on the market. No. Coffee doesn't actually cure cancer. Pretty much all water and food we consume contains microplastics. Cool. Terrifying. Bacteriophages being used to cure diseases and being able to solve the antibiotic crisis. Given I think Kurgsgay, whatever it's called, the YouTube channel that gives people existential crisis, did a vid on it. Göbekli Tepe, ruin discovered in Turkey that dates back to 11,000 BCE or further. This throws a massive wrench into our understanding of what people were capable of at that time, and hints at advanced civilizations having likely existed long before we thought they did. It has also only been about 10% excavated. I've actually read some articles over the past few weeks about archaeologists using lidar technology to uncover Mayan ruins, and they found that Mayan civilization was much more extensive than originally assumed. At its height, it's now believed that its population may have numbered near 15 million citizens, and that they engaged in extensive trade with their neighbors to the north and south. These lidar scans have revealed evidence of vast cities, farmlands and roadways. And this was all without any pack animals or wheeled carts. Yes, I just finished reading The Lost City of the Monkey Guide by Douglas Preston. They used lidar to detect the location of the ruins before setting out. The parasite that apparently led to the city's downfall, leishmaniasis, still lives there, and infected many of the crew on the expedition. There's a good chance there will be a cure for celiac disease within the next 10 years. There's currently an active and ongoing clinical trial where participants with diagnosed celiac are getting infusions that will ultimately reverse the autoimmune response a person with celiac has when they consume gluten. It's still far from complete, but we are closer than we've ever been to curing celiac disease. The clinical trial is taking place in Cleveland, Ohio. I was asked to be part of it, but unfortunately I just don't have the extra time. If anybody local wants more information, please message me and I can get you in contact with one of the researchers. Any breakthrough about your stomach being a second brain makes me happy. Be it bacteria, inflammation, etc., causing all the anxiety in your head, and people with IBS having more cases of anxiety, depression. I'm a PhD student in a lab doing gut-brain nexus research, and it's crazy to me how few people outside the scientific community know that's even a thing. Trying to explain my research to family is always a nightmare because I have to start from, so there are bacteria in your GI tract, and signals from your gut influence things in your brain, and never manage to work up to what I actually do, because that blows people away. I didn't want to buy an ice cream sandwich at the grocery store. My gut bacteria did. I'd be pretty fucking depressed if I was always shitting diarrhea and had constant stomach pain. Women can get pregnant using their bone marrow instead of a male's semen. Getting bone results in pregnancy? Who knew? No, they need to get marrowed for the boning to work. Wouldn't this cause similar problems to inbreeding? If my understanding is correct from the article above, OP doesn't actually mean their own bone marrow. Just simply the male's bone marrow they do some science on in a petri dish and it turns into DIY spermacere, I guess, for cases when a guy's shooting blanks but still wants his own child. Great, now I need to get rid of my bone marrow. CRISPR and its successors are going to define the 2020s emo. Eugenics war, baby. We're only 30 years behind schedule for that sweet utopic socialist galactic future. Can someone Eli 5 CRISPR please? The T-Rex had fur. Edit. So after reading the comments I've come to realize that the T-Rex had proto-feathers rather than fur. My comment was based on the new exhibit at the American Museum of Natural History where they depict the T-Rex in all its phases as having some fur of hair on them, particularly at their early stage of birth. Sorry for any confusion I caused. It's more the downy fuzz newborn chicks have. That fuzz isn't hair. It's feathers designed for warmth, not flight. Many birds still have them under their flight feathers. Penguins down south certainly have these types of feathers, too. The FDA just approved ketamine as an antidepressant for treatment-resistant depression in the form of esketamine as a nasal spray. It's of the few unique and hopeful approaches to treatment-resistant depression that we've seen in years. Some stats put the rate of recovery as high as 80%. Not full recovery, but alleviation at least. A male birth control pills is making its way throughout human trials. This will be a game changer. Really excited for this one. I saw a meme about it calling it sunblock, haha. This is awesome, but I worry it will lead to an explosion of STIs/STDs as people stop using condoms. Science can regrow our teeth now. This must be that one weird trick my dentist doesn't want me to know about. Give us that sauce. I could use the hell out of this right now. I think just this week scientists found debris from an asteroid that hit Mexico some 66 million years ago, making a huge crater. This debris was found in North Dakota, furthering the evidence that this asteroid a major factor in the extinction of the dinosaurs and much of life on Earth at the time. Lab-grown meat, removed. Vegan hurts self in confusion. Correct me if I'm wrong, but haven't we known this for a while? Garlic, for example, creates allicin when it is crushed to dissuade animals from eating it. It don't work too well for them, do it? Greater than laughing face. I suppose eating deterrents in plants behave very jankily when having to account for humans. Take peppers for instance. They evolved capsaicin to deter mammals from eating them without affecting birds. Since mammals digest pepper seeds while birds don't. Humans, however, being the single most metal species to have ever graced this planet, considered that chemical a challenge and proceeded to seek out peppers to eat them for sport, domesticate them, and then proceed to specifically breed peppers for the absolute maximum amount of capsaicin. That there is a bacteria that can break down plastic very fast. It's interesting, you should look it up. How would it be controlled so that it eats waste and doesn't destroy everything else wholeware? Still using it? Antibacterial soap, obviously. I would have to say prosthesis. You can get hands and feet that are pretty close to the actual thing that operate by feeling the muscles that remain. We will soon be long gone from the days of military-style hooks and lumps of solid plastic. People know about immunotherapy, but they don't know how fast the treatments are being developed. Right now, I'm hopeful we see cures for different types of cancers and immune disorders in our lifetime. Bacteriophages could put an end to antibiotic-resistant bacteria. Immunologist here. There's a reason why I don't use phages to treat infections. And it's not because of big pharma or antibiotic obsession, as alluded in other comments. The immune system is incredibly efficient at clearing out phages. You have to inject something on the order of 10 to the power of 9 phages just to even see them before they're all destroyed. They fucking cured HIV with stem cells with a natural resistance to the virus. That is amazing. Why do the headlines keep talking about the flash in the pan orange guy? This is so much more important. Yup. And I'm 3 people now. At first it was just Timothy Ray Brown, who was called the Berlin patient. Now, there is the London patient and the Dusseldorf patient who prefer to remain unnamed. An Israeli doctor discovered a cure for HPV. Casts you can scratch through. I misread this as cats and was thought there was some new hollow cat type thing that you can put your hand through. 2 recent studies were published regarding care of strokes outside of the 6-hour window. Up until those studies, we could only really do anything about an ischemic stroke if it happened within the last 6 hours. These 2 studies showed that, using various criteria, we could perform thrombectomy up to 24 hours from symptom onset with statistically significant improvement in outcome for the patient. Before, if a patient woke up with stroke symptoms, there likely wasn't a damn thing we can do. Now, we can actually attempt to clear the clot and potentially restore some function. And compared to our stroke care 10 years ago, which basically boiled down to, well, that sucks, and then not having anything to do, stroke care has made some huge strides. There's a few companies, researchers, initiatives out there figuring out how we use captured carbon dioxide as feedstock for various chemicals, plastics and building materials, as a replacement for oil-based feedstocks. I worked for a startup that was making insulating foams for buildings, which had approximately 25% CO2 by mass. Long lifespan materials. At the moment, a lot of our climate change prevention work is around reducing CO2 produced. But this is a game changer. Instead of it being the evil, it becomes a valuable commodity. Companies are incentivized to capture it, rather than releasing it. Capturing CO2 from the atmosphere can become commercially viable. It's the carbon economy in reverse. Draco by Tom Ritter. Foregs PhD at Lincoln Labs develop a broad-spectrum antiviral. 100% success rates of survivability in lethal doses of all non-retroviruses tested, including but not limited to Ebola, dengue, flu, cold and herpes. Yes, you read that right. Stands for double-stranded RNA capsase oligomerizer. It is a molecule that has 2 molecules bound together. The first half is a molecule which only bonds to dRNA. The second half is a molecule of DNA which carries the code for cell apoptosis, cell suicide. It binds to only virally infected cells and then the cell kills itself. It's the future. There are CPUs that can change their internal circuitry on the fly to suit whatever problem they are working on. This can give massive power savings and free up the traditional CPU cores for other things. Imagine being able to encode a 4K game stream using just a few watts of power and almost no CPU time. The downsides are that it costs an arm and a leg, and your programs will now take 8 hours to compile. If you are a dev, essentially it is a CPU with an FPGA next to it in the same package. The FPGA is available as an OpenCL target, and being in the same package as the CPU shares the global memory with the CPU. The part number is Xeon Gold 6138P. Edit. Some people have complained that my pop science explanation is misleading. An FPGA doesn't physically change its internal circuit structure. It uses RAM-based lookup tables and multiplexers to implement a particular digital behavior. Running a computation on a FPGA is significantly more power efficient than on a CPU. but still much less power efficient than a custom physical circuit. The benefit of an FPGA is that you can change the circuit it is implementing whenever you like. You can implement a CPU on an FPGA, and I believe you can buy kits that walk you through that. But this will be orders of magnitude less powerful and efficient than an actual physical CPU. The reason that you are able to get speed and efficiency from an FPGA for a particular computation is because the compiler implements a bespoke pipeline on the FPGA as opposed to a general-purpose CPU pipeline. Now, FPGAs have been around for a while, but the recent advancements are compilers that effectively turn programs written in high-level languages into bespoke pipelines. Before, you either had to use hardware design languages or heavily stripped-down versions of C. Much better clock speed and circuit density on FPGAs. Integrating FPGAs into CPUs and making all the interfacing with the FPGA transparent to the programmer. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.